Fractured minds. Major Thaddeus Wolf had always been proud of his mental discipline. 15 years of special operations had honed his mind into an impenetrable fortress, or so he believed until the Zinthri neural probes began their work. "The human still resists," remarked a tall, silver-skinned figure. Commander Vexlar moved closer to the containment field, studying Thaddeus with 6 amber eyes that blinked in unsynchronized patterns. Impressive. Most minds fracture by the 3rd cycle. Thaddeus glared through the shimmer of the energy barrier. 3 days of conventional interrogation had yielded nothing, and now they'd moved to more invasive methods. His body, suspended in the center of the cell, bore the marks of neural connector ports surgically implanted along his spine and skull. "Fleet Admiral Morden will be disappointed," said another Zinthri officer. "The defense algorithms for Earth's orbital platforms are critical to our final offensive." Vexlar's mouth ridges twitched, what passed for a Zinthri frown. "Then we must proceed with the resonance." The word sent a ripple of unease through the observation chamber. Even among the Zinthri, the neural resonance was rarely used, a sacred, ancient practice that preceded their space-faring era. "Commander," protested the medical officer, "the resonance was never designed for cross-species application. The risk of permanent neural damage is acceptable," Vexlar interrupted. "The High Command has authorized all measures. I will conduct the resonance myself." Thaddeus couldn't hear their conversation, but he knew his situation had deteriorated when the containment field disappeared and 4 guards entered. He fought against his restraints as they transferred him to a different chamber, circular, dimly lit, with walls covered in pulsing, organic-looking technology. At the center stood a platform with 2 reclining stations, facing each other. "Major Thaddeus Wolf," Vexlar addressed him directly for the first time, entering behind him. "Your resistance is commendable but futile. The resonance will extract what we need." "Go to hell," Thaddeus spat, his voice hoarse from days of silence. Vexlar's head tilted. "Your hell is a human concept. We Zinthri believe consciousness simply returns to the collective." He gestured to the 2nd station. "Today, you and I will share something few beings ever experience: complete neural transparency." As the guards strapped him down, Thaddeus tried to steady his breathing. His training had covered psychic defense techniques, but the neural resonance was beyond anything human intelligence had documented. The best he could do was focus on mental walls, keeping classified information buried deep. Vexlar removed his ornate military garments, revealing a body covered in intricate bioluminescent patterns. He reclined on the opposite station, never breaking eye contact with Thaddeus. "Begin the alignment," he ordered. Neural connectors extended from the ceiling, interfacing with the ports on Thaddeus's body. Similar connectors attached to specific points on Vexlar's skin where the luminescent patterns converged. "Know that I respect you, human," Vexlar said as technicians made final adjustments. "Few of your kind have demonstrated such mental fortitude. When this is complete, I will recommend a merciful execution." Thaddeus tried to respond with defiance, but the first pulse of energy through the neural interface stole his voice. Pain blossomed behind his eyes, not physical, but something deeper, as though reality itself was being peeled away. "Resist if you must." Vexlar's voice seemed to come from inside his own mind. "It only extends the process." The 2nd pulse hit, and Thaddeus felt his consciousness stretching, thinning like fabric pulled too tight. He focused on his mental barriers, picturing thick walls around classified information. The 3rd pulse shattered everything. Thaddeus was no longer just Thaddeus. Suddenly, he was also a young Zinthri hatching, emerging from a luminescent pool as siblings chirped encouragements. He felt the pride of passing warrior trials, the sting of ancestral markings being etched into his skin. No, not his skin, Vexlar's skin. Simultaneously, Vexlar experienced Thaddeus's childhood in the cold Montana winters, the warm kitchen where his grandmother told stories by the fire, the day he enlisted after the Zinthri destroyed the lunar colonies. Both minds recoiled in confusion, then surged toward each other again, unable to separate. "This is incorrect." Vexlar's thoughts rippled through their shared consciousness. The resonance should not allow this depth of access. Thaddeus couldn't respond with words, only emotions, fear, anger, and beneath it all, a strange fascination. He felt Vexlar's equivalent emotions: confusion, concern, and scientific curiosity. The memories continued flowing unbidden. Thaddeus saw Vexlar standing before the Zinthri High Command, receiving orders, The humans harbor technology from the ancient precursors. They must be eliminated before they can weaponize it against us. Vexlar, in turn, witnessed humanity's first encounter with the Zinthri. Peaceful scientific outreach met with immediate aggression. No, Vexlar's thought was sharp with disbelief. The humans attacked first. They violated sacred space. Instead of arguing, Thaddeus simply let the memory flow, the Zinthri ships destroying the unarmed research vessel, the subsequent years of humanity scrambling to develop defenses against an enemy they didn't understand. Lies, Vexlar insisted, but his certainty wavered as he felt the authenticity of Thaddeus's memories. In response, Thaddeus pushed deeper, past Vexlar's recent memories to something the Zinthri officer kept carefully guarded. A memory of overhearing High Command discussing the necessary deception to unite the Zinthri houses against an external threat. Vexlar's shock reverberated through their connection, followed by a surge of resistance. He tried to reassert control over the resonance, to direct it toward military information as intended. But the process had evolved beyond either of their control. The neural connection had become something new, not an interrogation technique but a true merging of minds. Thaddeus felt Vexlar's growing doubts about the war, his secret questioning of High Command's motivations. Vexlar, in turn, experienced Thaddeus's buried grief over fallen comrades, his fear that humanity might not survive this conflict. Hours passed in what felt like moments. When the technicians finally deactivated the neural resonance, both participants remained motionless, their minds still echoing with fragments of each other's lives. "Commander." A medical officer approached cautiously. The extraction was incomplete. "Should we prepare for another session?" Vexlar slowly sat up, his bioluminescent patterns flickering erratically. "No. I require processing time. Return the prisoner to containment." As guards transferred the semi-conscious Thaddeus back to his cell, Vexlar retreated to his private quarters. He stood before a reflection panel, studying his own face as though seeing it for the first time. The resonance should have been one-directional, his mind extracting information from the humans. Instead, it had created a bridge. Even now, hours later, he could feel echoes of Thaddeus's consciousness lingering in his mind, emotions he'd been conditioned to suppress since hatching, questions he'd never dared articulate. Had his entire life been built on a fabrication? Was the existential threat that united the Zinthri houses merely a political convenience? Across the detention block, Thaddeus lay on his cell floor, experiencing similar disorientation. The arrogant, cold-blooded alien oppressor he'd expected Vexlar to be had instead revealed himself as something far more complex, a being caught in the same machinery of war, following orders he'd begun to question. Most disconcertingly, he could still feel traces of Vexlar in his mind, not memories now, but impressions, like fading echoes. The sensation of having 6 eyes instead of 2. The comforting ritual of ancestral prayers before battle. The weight of responsibility toward subordinates. When the cell door opened hours later, Thaddeus expected another round of interrogation. Instead, Vexlar entered alone, dismissing the guards. The humans never possessed precursor weapons technology, Vexlar stated flatly once they were alone. The High Command fabricated that claim to justify the war. Thaddeus slowly rose to his feet. "Figured that out, did you? Your memories revealed much. As did my own, I suspect." Vexlar's inner eyelids flickered nervously. "The resonance has never behaved this way before. Our minds remain entangled." "I can still feel you," Thaddeus admitted. "Thoughts, emotions. It's fading, but it should not be possible across species." Vexlar moved closer. "Yet I experience your doubt, your anger, your hope. And I feel your confusion, your sense of betrayal." Vexlar's luminescent patterns dimmed. "I have served the High Command absolutely. I've led campaigns that destroyed human worlds. And now I discover it was all founded on deception. What will you do about it?" Thaddeus asked, already suspecting the answer from the emotional undercurrents still flowing between them. "What we must do," Vexlar replied, deactivating the cell's monitoring systems. "The resonance showed me truth I cannot ignore. If others could experience what we have," he paused. "The transport bay is minimally guarded during third shift. There is a scout vessel programmed for long-range reconnaissance." Thaddeus felt a jolt of surprise, quickly replaced by understanding. "You're helping me escape." "We are escaping," Vexlar corrected. "I cannot return to Zinthri space after what I now know. And you possess knowledge that could change the course of this war." Thaddeus studied his former interrogator, now potential ally. Through their lingering connection, he He sensed no deception, only resolve, fear, and an unfamiliar emotion that took him a moment to identify in the alien psyche. Hope. They'll hunt us both, Thaddeus warned. Vexlar's mouth ridges formed the Zinthri equivalent of a grim smile. Then we must move quickly. The scout vessel shuddered as it dropped out of hyperspace, its hull still bearing scorch marks from their narrow escape from the Zinthri battlecruiser. In the pilot's seat, Vexlar's six-fingered hands moved with precision across the unfamiliar controls. The vessel had been designed for Zinthri physiology, but Thaddeus's military knowledge flowed through their fading mental connection, guiding his actions. We're approaching the Io outpost, Thaddeus said, studying the NAV display. Better transmit that identification code now, or they'll blow us out of the sky. Vexlar nodded, his bioluminescent patterns pulsing with anxiety as he opened a communication channel. Human outpost. This is Major Thaddeus Wolf, identification code Sierra. Tango, 477 Delta. I am aboard a commandeered enemy vessel with critical intelligence. The silence that followed stretched uncomfortably until a suspicious voice responded. Authentication required. What was the name of your first commanding officer? Thaddeus leaned forward. Colonel Jacqueline Rivera, 103rd Special Tactics. She had a scar across her left eyebrow from hand-to-hand combat training with me. Another pause, then confirmed. Major, you've been listed as MIA for 3 weeks. Approach vector being transmitted. Be advised, we're tracking 4 Zinthri pursuit vessels entering the system. Acknowledged, Thaddeus replied grimly. We'll need a security detail upon landing. I'm not alone. As the scout ship descended toward Jupiter's moon, Thaddeus looked at Vexlar, feeling the alien's mounting apprehension. They won't shoot you on sight, he assured him. At least, not with me vouching for you. Vexlar's head tilted slightly. Your confidence is admirable, but I sense your doubt beneath it. The mental link is supposed to be fading, Thaddeus muttered. It appears to be. Stabilizing instead, Vexlar replied. An unprecedented outcome. The landing bay was a scene of controlled chaos. Armed soldiers in heavy exo-armor, weapons trained on the alien vessel as its ramp descended. Thaddeus exited first, hands raised, followed by Vexlar, whose towering silver form caused an immediate reaction. Safeties clicking off, targeting systems engaging. Stand down, Thaddeus ordered, placing himself between the guns and his unlikely companion. He defected. He's the reason I'm alive. Commander Natalia Okafor stepped forward, her weathered face revealing nothing as she assessed the situation. Major Wolf, you've brought an enemy commander into a top-secret military installation. I need a damn good explanation. With respect, Commander, we don't have time. Those pursuit vessels will be here in minutes, and we have intelligence that could change the course of the war. Okafor's eyes narrowed, moving between the human officer and the alien. Security detail, escort them both to interrogation. Full containment protocols for the Zinthri. Commander, Thaddeus began to protest. That's an order, Major. Be grateful I'm not shooting first and sorting it out later. The interrogation room was sterile and cold, designed to make any occupant uncomfortable. Thaddeus sat across from Vexlar, separated by a force field that hummed with barely contained energy. 3 senior officers observed from behind one-way glass, including Commander Okafor and, to Thaddeus's surprise, Admiral Reginald Porter, the highest-ranking officer in the Jupiter Defense Fleet. Start from the beginning, Okafor instructed. Thaddeus recounted his capture, the neural resonance procedure, and the unexpected outcome, how instead of a one-way extraction, their minds had fully synchronized. The war is based on a lie, he concluded. The Zinthri High Command fabricated intelligence about humanity possessing precursor weapons to justify their aggression. Admiral Porter leaned forward. And we're supposed to take the word of a compromised officer and an enemy combatant? You don't have to take our word, Vexlar spoke for the first time, his resonant voice causing several guards to tighten their grips on their weapons. You can experience it yourselves. Silence fell over the room. What exactly are you proposing? Okafor asked finally. The neural resonance can be modified, Vexlar explained. With the right equipment, we could broadcast our shared consciousness, let others experience what we experienced. Out of the question, Porter snapped. For all we know, this is some kind of Zinthri mind control attempt. Thaddeus shook his head. Admiral, I understand your caution, but think about what this could mean. If we could show the truth to both sides simultaneously. And how would we reach the Zinthri population? Okafor interrupted. broadcast directly into enemy territory. Vexlar's bioluminescent patterns brightened. The quantum communication network. The Zinthri use it for instantaneous communication across vast distances. If we could access a node. The captured relay station in the Ganymede sector, Thaddeus interjected, the idea forming simultaneously in both their minds. We could use it to piggyback a signal throughout the entire Zinthri network. Porter's face darkened. This is starting to sound like treason, Major. You're suggesting we allow an enemy commander access to our most valuable technological capture. Before Thaddeus could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. A junior officer burst into the room. Sir, four Zinthri destroyers have entered Jupiter's orbit. They're demanding the return of their commander and threatening orbital bombardment. Porter rose. Get to battle stations. I want every defense platform online, and... They're not bluffing, Vexlar interrupted. Fleet Admiral Morden commands those ships personally. He will destroy this moon rather than allow me to share what I know. Thaddeus felt a chill run through him, partly his own fear, partly Vexlar's certainty flowing through their connection. We're out of time for debate. The neural broadcast is our only chance to prevent more bloodshed. For several excruciating seconds, Porter and Okafor exchanged looks. Finally, Porter nodded grimly. Commander, escort them to the Ganymede relay. But if this goes sideways, I want them both eliminated immediately. The journey to Ganymede took less than an hour aboard a military transport, but the tension made it feel like days. Thaddeus and Vexlar sat side by side, planning the broadcast as best they could while Commander Okafor's security team watched their every move. The risk is significant, Vexlar admitted quietly. The neural resonance was never designed for this application. Broadcasting our shared consciousness could cause permanent neural damage to both of us. Thaddeus nodded. I know. I can feel your concern. And yet you proceed without hesitation. Millions have already died in this war. Billions more will follow if nothing changes. Thaddeus looked directly at the alien who had become something more than an ally. Besides, I've experienced your mind. I know what you sacrificed by defecting. We're in this together now. The captured Zinthri relay station was a marvel of alien engineering. Curved, organic-looking architecture housing technology far beyond human understanding. A team of Earth's best scientists had spent months reverse engineering its basic functions, but much of it remained mysterious. Dr. Layla Hassani, the lead researcher, greeted them with undisguised fascination. When they told me a Zinthri commander was coming to help operate the relay, I thought it was a joke. Her eyes lingered on Vexlar's towering form. I have 1,000 questions about how the quantum entanglement matrix functions. Perhaps another time, Dr. Okafor cut in. They need to access the broadcast capabilities immediately. As Vexlar began working with the relay controls, Thaddeus felt a strange sensation, knowledge flowing into his own mind about how the system operated. Their mental link was growing stronger rather than weaker, allowing him to understand the alien technology as though he'd studied it for years. This is remarkable, Dr. Hassani observed, watching them work in perfect synchronization. It's like they're communicating without speaking. We are, both said simultaneously, then exchanged glances. Within 30 minutes, they had reconfigured the relay to accommodate the neural resonance technology Vexlar had brought from the scout ship. The modified system would amplify their shared consciousness and transmit it through the quantum network to every Zinthri communication device, and, through the human military channels, to Earth forces as well. We're ready, Thaddeus announced, settling into one of 2 specially prepared recliners. Vexlar took the other, while medical staff attached monitoring equipment to both of them. Vitals are stable, reported the chief medical officer. But I have to reiterate my objections. We have no idea what this will do to human neural architecture. Noted, Thaddeus replied. Begin the sequence. As the first neural connections activated, Thaddeus felt the familiar sensation of his consciousness stretching, reaching out. But this time, instead of the pain he'd experienced during the first resonance, there was a sense of coming home, his mind rejoining Vexlar's like 2 pieces of a whole. Their shared consciousness expanded rapidly, memories flowing freely between them. The tragic loss of Thaddeus's squad during the Battle of Ceres. Vexlar's quiet rebellion against Zinthri emotional conditioning. Their different but parallel paths as soldiers, strategists, beings caught in the machinery of war. Quantum amplification beginning. Dr. Hassani's voice seemed distant. Broadcast commencing in 3, 2, 1. The world dissolved around them as their unified consciousness surged outward. Suddenly, they were everywhere at once. On Earth command ships where stunned officers clutched their heads as alien memories filled them. In Zinthri war chambers where high commanders experienced the humanity they had dismissed as irrelevant. In homes and barracks and ships throughout two civilizations. Through the broadcast, millions experienced the truth that had been hidden, the fabricated threat, the unnecessary war, the potential for coexistence. They felt Thaddeus's determination and Vexlar's remorse, the unexpected connection that had formed between supposed enemies. On the medical monitors, both bodies convulsed as neural pathways overloaded with the strain of broadcasting across such vast distances. Alarms sounded as vital signs plummeted. "We're losing them," the medical officer shouted. "Neural cascade failure imminent." "Keep the broadcast going," Commander Okafor ordered. They knew the risks. In their shared mindspace, Thaddeus and Vexlar clung to consciousness as the edges of their unified being began to dissolve. "We may not survive this," Vexlar's thought rippled through their connection. "As long as the message gets through," Thaddeus responded. "It has been an honor to know your mind, Thaddeus Wolf. And yours, Vexlar." Just as darkness began closing in, the broadcast reached its final target. Fleet Admiral Morden aboard the Zinthri flagship. The hardened military leader, architect of countless campaigns against humanity, staggered as the truth of his own deception crashed through his consciousness. With one command, he ordered the attack on Io abandoned. In the relay station, the medical team worked frantically to stabilize the two figures whose minds had traveled so far. For 3 days, they remained unconscious, separated physically, but still connected mentally in ways the doctors couldn't understand. When Thaddeus finally opened his eyes, Commander Okafor was waiting. "Welcome back, Major," she said, a rare smile crossing her features. "You've missed quite a lot." "Vexlar," he managed to ask. "Alive. Recovering in the next room." She paused. The broadcast worked. "The Zinthri fleet has withdrawn from the Jupiter system, and Fleet Admiral Morden has requested formal peace negotiations." Thaddeus closed his eyes, feeling relief wash through him. Both his own and, faintly but unmistakably, Vexlar's. Their minds remained connected across the distance, perhaps permanently altered by what they had done. "There's more," Okafor continued. "Thousands of Zinthri soldiers are questioning their orders. Some are even requesting asylum. You've started something that no one could have predicted." "Not just me," Thaddeus corrected. "Us." 2 weeks later, as the first tentative peace talks began on neutral ground in the Proxima Centauri system, Thaddeus and Vexlar stood together on an observation deck overlooking Europa's vast ice fields. Their bodies had recovered, but their minds remained linked, a permanent bridge between two species that had nearly destroyed each other. "What happens now?" Thaddeus asked, though he could sense the answer in Vexlar's thoughts. "We continue what we started," the Zinthri replied. "There will be resistance on both sides, those who profit from conflict, those who cling to hatred. But they can no longer hide behind lies." Thaddeus nodded, watching Jupiter rise over Europa's horizon. "Do you think our minds will ever separate completely?" Vexlar's bioluminescent patterns shifted into a pattern that Thaddeus now recognized as contemplative. "Does it matter? We are neither fully ourselves nor fully each other. We have become something new, perhaps the first of many such connections between our kinds." As they stood in comfortable silence, Thaddeus realized that the emptiness he had carried for years, the emotional distance he had maintained from everyone around him, had finally been filled. Not by another human, but by a being he should never have understood. Somewhere in the vastness of space, peace negotiations continued, faltering at times, advancing at others. But on Europa, two former enemies watched a gas giant rise, their thoughts flowing between them like water finding its level, carrying with it the promise of something neither of their civilizations had dared imagine, not just an end to war, but the beginning of true understanding. Retriclod can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.